Hello students, this is Ravi Verma and this video is the second part of the chapter number 4th. The title of this chapter is Materials, Metals and Non-Metals, that is from the NCERT textbook of science for class 8th. So in this video, in the part 1, we have discussed the physical properties of metals and non-metals. In this part, we are going to discuss about the chemical properties of metals and non-metals. So let us start. First of all, we'll discuss about the reaction of metals and non-metals with oxygen. So dear students, if we talk about the reaction of a metal with oxygen, we'll see that a metal reacts with oxygen to produce metal oxide. And metal oxides are basic in nature generally. So most of the metal oxides are basic in nature. This fact we can understand by the help of this activity. Activity number 4.3. Activity number 4.3. In this activity, what we will do, we will take the rust, that is iron oxide. Iron oxide is called rust. And this iron oxide is formed when some metal article is left exposed to humid air. What generally happens that iron reacts with oxygen plus water to make iron oxide. Okay, so this iron oxide, that is called rust, is brown in color and makes a coating on the iron articles. So in this activity, what we are going to do, we are going to collect a little iron oxide, that is rust, in test tube, and we will add some water into it and try to mix and dissolve it. But you will see that most of the iron oxide remains suspended in the mixture. But we will take a few drop of this mixture in a watch glass, and then we will try to find out whether it is basic or acidic by the help of a red litmus paper or blue litmus paper. You will see that this solution, when red litmus paper strip is brought in contact with this solution, that is the solution of rust, you will see that red litmus turns blue. This means iron oxide's solution is basic in nature. Okay, so here we understand that iron oxide, which is an oxide of metal, is basic in nature. So what we can say, that metals react with oxygen to make basic oxides. And not only this, dear students, if we burn magnesium ribbon in oxygen, so what will happen then? If we burn magnesium, then it will react with oxygen and then it will make magnesium oxide. Again, magnesium oxide is basic in nature. So again we can say that metal oxides are basic in nature. And how we can identify that they are basic? by putting a red litmus paper sheet into it. If we put a red litmus paper sheet, then the red litmus will turn blue in color. Okay, so we have seen that iron gets rusted because it reacts with oxygen in the air and water vapors in the air and makes iron oxide, which is called rust, which is brown in color and makes a brown coating around the iron articles. Now, dear students, you might have seen a dull green coating on copper vessels also. That means copper also develops a light green or dull green covering around them. Is this also a rusting process, or is this also a corrosion process? Yes, we can say that is also rusting or corrosion. We call this process as corrosion. Corrosion is that process in which any metal reacts with its surrounding chemicals like parts of oxygen, components of oxygen, components of air like oxygen and water vapors. So when a metal reacts with oxygen and water vapors and makes a covering around it and loses its shine, this is called corrosion. Okay, so let's understand how does a green layer gets deposit. A greenish layer gets deposit around copper vessels. What happens, dear students, when a copper vessel is exposed to moist air for long time? It acquires a dull green coating around it. And what is that dull green coating? That dull green coating, the green material is a mixture of copper hydroxide and copper carbonate. And what is the reaction? The reaction is written here, that the copper of the vessel reacts with water vapors, carbon dioxide and oxygen present in moist air and make two compounds. One is copper hydroxide and the other is copper carbonate. So the mixture of copper hydroxide and copper carbonate is dull green in color and makes a layer around copper. Okay, now when we know that metals react with oxygen to make metal oxides, which are generally basic in nature. Now let's understand how do non-metals react with oxygen. So in order to understand this, we will have to perform another activity, means we will have to react one non-metal with oxygen. So what we are going to do in this activity? In this activity, that is activity number 4.4. In this activity, we will react a non-metal with oxygen. Let us see what happens. First of all, we will take a spoon, something like this. This is called deflagrating spoon. But if this kind of deflagrating spoon is not available in our laboratory, then what we can do? We will take a bottle cap like this and tie up a wire, a copper wire with it. Okay, and then what we can do? We will take some yellow colored sulfur powder in it. We will take some sulfur powder in it. And you know, dear students, sulfur is a non-metal. Sulfur is a non-metal. Okay, so when sulfur, we will take sulfur in this and we will try to burn it. Okay, we will burn it, and when as soon as the sulfur starts burning in this spoon, we will put this spoon inside this glass box, something like this, right? Okay, and we will immediately put the cap over it so that when the sulfur is burning, the gases which are being produced, the fumes which are being produced, should not escape from this box. Okay, so after all the sulfur has burnt and all the fumes have been collected in this box by putting this cap, when the sulfur will stop burning, what we will do, we will slightly open this cap and we will add a little water into it. We will add little water into it, right? So when we will add water into it, we will shake it well so that the fumes get mixed with the water present in this glass box or glass bottle, right? So when we will make it, we will mix it, shake it properly, then the fumes will get mixed with water and a solution will be prepared. After some time, when the solution have been prepared, we will take this solution in a watch glass, okay, and we will test that it is basic or acidic in nature by the help of blue and red litmus papers. We will see that the blue litmus paper has converted into or has got a red color, means the solution turns blue litmus to red litmus, blue litmus to red litmus, right? So this shows that the solution is acidic in nature, that the solution is acidic in nature. So what has happened during this process? In this process, what happened, that first of all we took sulfur and when we burnt it, it reacted with oxygen and it produced sulfur dioxide, that is SO2. Now the fumes contained sulfur dioxide. The fumes which were produced during the burning of sulfur, the gas contained in these fumes was sulfur dioxide. And when we added water into it, so sulfur dioxide reacted with water to produce an acid, that is sulfurous acid, H2SO3. H2SO3. So what reaction has happened? Sulfur dioxide reacts with water. When we mix the fumes with water, so sulfur dioxide reacts with water and produces an acid that is known as sulfurous acid, H2SO3. And this is why the solution which was there inside the glass bottle, right, this solution turned blue litmus to red because the solution was an acid, that is H2SO3 or sulfurous acid. So now we have come to conclusion that 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 oxides of non-metals are acidic in nature. So this is very important. So what we have learned so far, we have learned that metals react with oxygen to produce metal oxides which are basic in nature, right? But non-metals react with oxygen to produce oxides which are acidic in nature. Okay, so now when we have learned about the reaction of metals and non-metals with oxygen, let us understand the reaction of metals and non-metals with water. So dear students, look here. First of all, we will talk about the reaction of metals with water. Then we will discuss the reaction of non-metals with water. Okay, so let's talk about the sodium metal. So sodium metal is very reactive. It reacts vigorously with oxygen and water both. So a lot of heat is generated in this reaction and therefore it is stored in kerosene. So first important point we learned that sodium metal is very reactive in nature and it reacts with oxygen present in air and water both very vigorously. So let us perform the activity of reaction of metal, that is sodium metal, with water. So what we will do in this activity, we will take a 250 ml beaker and fill this beaker half with water. Then we will cut a piece of sodium which has been stored in kerosene. So we will cut a piece of sodium, clean it with or dry it with sulfur paper, dry it with filter paper, right? And then we will wrap it in cotton and put this sodium metal into the beaker. As soon as sodium will come in contact with water, you will see that sodium has started reacting with water very vigorously, and it has catched fire. So it starts burning, and you will see during this observation we will have to keep away from this beaker, right? And after the reaction has completed, we will check that the beaker has become very hot, so we will see that some metals like sodium react with water very vigorously, but my dear, some metals may not do so. Some metals may react with water very slowly. For example, iron reacts with water very slowly. Okay, so some metals may react with water very vigorously, something like sodium, right? But iron and some other metals like copper, aluminum do very slowly react with water. They react with water very slowly. Okay, now if we talk about the reaction of non-metals with water, then non-metals do not react with water, though maybe they may be very reactive in air. Okay, so non-metals generally do not react with water. Metals react with water, some react very fastly and some react very slowly, but non-metals do not react with water. But some non-metals may be highly reactive in oxygen. For example, phosphorus is very reactive non-metal. It catches fire, it catches fire when exposed to air, means phosphorus start reacting with oxygen and starts almost burning. To prevent this contact, the phosphorus is kept or stored in water. Okay, so the phosphorus should not come in contact with oxygen. If it will come in contact with oxygen, it will start burning. So in order to cut the supply of oxygen, we put phosphorus in water. We store phosphorus in water, and sodium metal is stored in kerosene. So you need to learn both the things. Now reaction with acids. Let us understand how the acids react with how the metals and non-metals react with acid. For this purpose, we will collect some metals like magnesium, aluminum, iron, copper, right? And some non-metals like charcoal, that is carbon, and sulfur. We will react them with dilute hydrochloric acid and sulfuric acid. We will see that some of the metals react with both hydrochloric acid and sulfuric acid at room temperatures. Some react with them when we heat them, when we warm them. Okay, but some metals may not react with either hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid. So we will find there a mixture of results. Okay, so we cannot discuss it here. We will perform this activity, but from this activity what conclusion we will draw, let us understand it here. Okay, so what happens when metals react with acid? they may react with acids. The metals may react with acid either on room temperatures, right, or on heating them. Okay, but some metals may not react with some acids even on heating. Got it? So, but whenever a metal reacts with acid at any temperature, if a metal reacts with acid, it makes a salt plus it releases hydrogen gas. So, what we can say, that metals react with acid to produce hydrogen gas. We can check that the hydrogen gas is being produced by bringing a burning matchstick close to the test tube in which we are performing this chemical reaction. When hydrogen will come in contact with the burning matchstick, the hydrogen will start burning with a pop-up sound. Okay, so what is the conclusion? Dear students, we have concluded that metals react with acid to produce salt plus hydrogen gas is released. But what about non-metal? Non-metals generally do not react with acids, but metals react with acids to produce hydrogen gas that burns with a pop-up sound. Okay, so for example, if we talk about copper, then copper will not react with hydrochloric acid even on heating, but it will react with sulfuric acid, that is dilute. Okay, so when we have discussed the reaction of metals and non-metals with acids, we should proceed on to the reaction of metals and non-metals with bases. Okay, for demonstration of this, we will be learning about activity number 4.7. Okay, so let's take, we will prepare a fresh solution of sodium hydroxide, which is a very strong base. We'll take sodium hydroxide, we'll take 2-3 pellets of sodium hydroxide and mix them with 5 ml water so that a solution of sodium hydroxide will be formed. Now we will drop a piece of aluminum into it and bring a burning matchstick near the mouth of the test tube and observe carefully. We will see in this reaction that again hydrogen gas is produced. Again hydrogen gas is produced. So what we can say, that metals react with sodium hydroxide, that is a base, to produce hydrogen gas. So what will happen, we have taken a piece of sodium, we have taken a piece of aluminium and put it into a solution of sodium hydroxide, NaOH. So in this reaction also we will see that hydrogen gas is being produced. Hydrogen gas is being produced. Now reactions of non-metals with bases are complex. That means non-metals may react with bases to produce different substances or a number of different substances as a product. So what we can say, that non-metals react with bases, but the reaction is very complex, means we cannot make a general statement about them. They may produce different types of products. Now lastly, the displacement reaction. Let's understand about the displacement reactions. So what is displacement reaction? Displacement reaction is that reaction in which a more reactive metal displaces a less reactive metal from its salt solution. For example, we will take beakers A, B, C, D, E and we will collect copper sulfate in beaker A and B, and in beaker A we will put zinc granule, in beaker B we will put iron nail, right? In beaker C we will take zinc sulfate and we'll put copper turnings. Beaker D, we will take iron sulfate and we will put iron turnings. Beaker E, we will take zinc sulfate and we will put iron nail. So what we will see? We will see that in copper sulfate, when zinc granules are put, we will see that a brownish covering has been prepared around the zinc granules, and copper sulfate that was blue in color initially, it has faded up. So one reaction is going on. What reaction is going on? That copper sulfate, that is CuSO4, is reacting with zinc, and in this process zinc is more reactive than copper, so it will form ZnSO4, that is zinc sulfate. Means because zinc is more reactive, it has displaced copper from copper sulfate and fit itself in its place. So ZnSO4 has been formed, and the copper which was displaced, which was thrown away, comes in the form of pure copper. Okay, in the form of elemental copper. In the same way we will, when we will take copper sulfate solution and we will put an iron nail in it. Okay, so what will happen? Suppose we have taken, this is the copper sulfate solution, and we have put an iron nail into it. Suppose this is the iron nail. Okay, we will see that after 1 or 2 hours there is a coating, brown colored coating around it, and the solution of copper sulfate, which was initially blue in color, it has faded up, means its color has gone. What happened again in the beaker B? In the beaker B, the reaction was something like this: CuSO4, that is copper sulfate, reacts with iron, that is Fe, and makes Cu plus FeSO4 ferrous sulfate. Here again we see that iron is actually more reactive than copper, so iron will kick away the copper from copper sulfate and fit itself here, so iron can displace copper from its salt. So such a reaction in which a more reactive metal displaces a less reactive metal from its salt solution is called displacement reaction. In the same way, in beaker C, when zinc granules will be taken and copper turnings will be taken, you will see that zinc is more reactive as compared to copper. So copper is less reactive, so copper will not displace zinc from zinc sulfate. In this way, there will be no reaction proceeding in beaker C. Now in beaker D, if we take iron sulfate and copper turning, again you see that iron is more reactive and copper is less reactive. So copper cannot displace iron from iron sulfate. So in beaker D also there will be no reaction. Again in beaker E, we will take zinc sulfate and we will take iron nail. Okay, so if we will take this again iron, again we will take this, we will see that zinc is more reactive than iron. So we will see that iron, because zinc is more reactive than iron, so iron cannot displace zinc from its salt solution, that is zinc sulfate. So again in reaction E, there will be no reaction. So dear students, this is displacement reaction. So already the video has been so long. I suggest you that read this NCERT textbook, this portion of the NCERT textbook, and make your proper notes. Okay, and try to make a table that shows the chemical properties of metals and chemical properties of non-metals. Thank you for watching this video.